URC round number 14 is in the bag, folks. Three sides who were in the playoff spots just a week ago are now out of them. So we've got three new sides in their spots in the top 8. Let's go through the round that was, wrap up the results, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. How the teams are looking as we head in towards the business end of the season, albeit with a break coming up for the Champions Cup. Ulster and the Stormers, 38 points to 34, and Ulster are one of those sides into the playoffs, and the Stormers are one of the sides out. Despite picking up 2 points from this game, it is not enough to keep the Stormers in their playoff spot, and the Ulster guys move up into 6th. It seems like they've got a pretty tough run in, so it was a very important result for the Ulster guys to get, and it was really pleasing for them. I did a full match review if you haven't seen it, but pleasing to see them unleash the backs. Ballacoon on the board, Jack Murphy, Stockdale, and you had, wee Mikey Lowry getting the footwork going. So it was really, really pleasing. I mean, they got some tries from the boys up front as well. Warwick got on board, Moore got on the board. But, yeah, it was very, very pleasing from an Ulster perspective. For the Stormers guys, they were gutted because they scored all the early points. They went out to a cracking lead, but got chased down by the Ulster lads, despite a couple of drop goals from Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu, despite a couple of tries from Evan Roos. Probably the big talking point of that game, sadly, is a red card. Start of the second half, I think it was. Neithling Fushi ends up getting a red card for a hit on Ben Carson. It's a bit of a controversial one because Ben Carson put himself in a very awkward position, head first and very low to the ground, and Fushi hits him with his arm kind of tucked. So it's not a good look either way from either player. I would put fault at both of the feet of these players, but yeah, sucks that is in a game that is as close as this. It sucks that is such a big talking point. Feinberg and Gomazulu also got himself a pretty stupid yellow card in that game, which is changing his line to take out a player, which Ulster duly punished. So that one certainly was in the hands of the player, not just the official. So kind of did that one to themselves. But 2 bonus points out of this one is important as we head into the business end of the season. But as I said, the 5 points for Ulster send them up into the top 8. Ballacoon on his return, couple of clean breaks. Stockdale, 3 clean breaks. Mikey Lowry, 5 defenders beaten. And the missed tackle count for the Stormers was 27 to Ulster's 14. Some of the big name guys falling off a few too many, sadly, for them. Second game, which was on at the same time, which I didn't watch live because I was watching Ulster and the Stormers, was Edinburgh and the Dragons. That one was a bit more of a lopsided one. And when you're looking at the log for the URC, the Dragons are the one, I guess you could say them and Leinster are the two anomalies at the top and at the bottom. Leinster's ahead of everyone else, and the Dragons are miles behind everyone else. So, yeah, 38 points to 5. 1 try from Aaron Wainwright saves them from being nilled. For the Edinburgh guys, geez, their kick chase was dangerous. From what I've seen of it in the highlights, I mean, Patrick Harrison, geez, that guy's got some wheels for a hooker. Chasing a kick to get the second try. Like the first one comes from a maul as to maybe be expected, but the second one was totally bonkers. Other tries through Darcy Graham, Pierce Schoolman, Bowen Fencer, and Matt Curry. So, yeah, it's a big, important win for the Edinburgh guys, which also sees them move into the top 8. They are on 8th spot on 36 points. Cardiff are also on 36 points, but out of the playoff spot, so it is very tight. Bonus point win, much, much needed for Edinburgh. I mean, the Dragons guys, at times, are the masters of their own demise. They had one point where they had basically set up a try and just chucked the ball into the face of their own player, which kind of blew it. But, I mean, you look at the stats. Line breaks 9-3. That's to Edinburgh. Dragons line-out was at 60%. That's going to struggle any game you play. And like Darcy Graham, 11 defenders beaten. Yeah, Edinburgh, who have been a bit of a hot and cold side, certainly put on the hot stuff against the Dragons. Likewise did the Bulls against Zebre. Zebre gave the Sharks a bit of a scare last week, but no such luck against the Bulls. 63 points to 24 is a high scoring affair. I mean, the Zebre guys do get 3 tries and a droppy. They get a more try, which not everybody does against the Bulls, but the Bulls ran in just so many tries. Peterson bagged a couple, including one within a few minutes of the game's starting. Berger got one, which was from milking a penalty, when the halfback chucks it into a guy who's in an offside position, he just milks a penalty, but regathers the ball and just goes down the length of the field to score a try. I've literally never seen that before in all the games of rugby I have watched, so that was something new. Jacobs got one, Wessels got one, Van Staden got one, Coetzee got one, Forster, and Creel. The Creel one at the death was just like, what are you doing, Zebre? They're trying to take a quick line out, and nobody gathers it, so Creel just says thank you very much and goes over for a try. So, yeah, the Bulls certainly put on a heap of points. Zebre always make it entertaining. They were down, 28-10 at halftime, but scored in the second half to make it 28-17. Just maybe getting back to game on, but then the Bulls took it away from them. Missed tackles, both sides a bit high. 31 by Zebre and 18 by the Bulls, but the Bulls had more ball, 58% possession, so their tackle percentage, the Bulls, comes out a wee bit low. You might get away with that for Zebre, but maybe not in some other games. Jacobs had 5 defenders beaten. Akafandamova had 5 defenders beaten. So some good individual standout performers from them. And sadly for Zebre, 1 try short of a bonus point. Connacht and Munster also in the playoff race. Important one for Connacht at home, although it was at McHale Park, which was bloody beautiful on camera. Seemed a bit windy, but massive crowd there and in a good voice seemingly. But another game which unfortunately has a red card, and it's an early one to Munster. 26 minutes, Nankivell with a kind of bad clean out ends up getting red carded, but despite the man down and yellow card in that game as well, Munster are able to hang on. Connacht had a try disallowed for a Bundy Aki croc roll, so seemingly discipline on both sides kind of influential in this match. Munster, Ahern, he's able to get himself a try. It's bloody beautiful seeing that guy run down the wing because he is such a mobile, big unit of a man. Casey got one, Crowley got one, so key 9-10 guys for Munster. And then Barron got one on 59 minutes, so that is the bonus point win for Munster away from home, which is key if they want to kind of keep their spots as high as they can in the playoffs. Connacht are still out of the playoffs, and they drop further away with the loss. They had tries through Jansen, 2 of them. They had 1 through Blade and 1 through Ioane, which at least gets them a 4-try bonus point. It gets them a losing bonus point. But honestly, they had a try in the bag, which would have put them ahead, Connacht, barring that croc roll from Aki, which saw the try TMO'd. Brutal one for the crowd who thought they'd won it towards the end. Munster controlled the position and the territory despite their cards. Ioane, 6 turnovers conceded for Connacht is also a little bit too high. Despite the conditions in Nash, 5 defenders beaten is certainly looking dangerous for Munster. The next one was the Scarlets and the Ospreys, which is also a pretty interesting one in terms of the playoff race. The Ospreys' loss sees them drop out of the playoffs, and the Scarlets have actually overtaken them. They are now level on points, but the Scarlets are in the 11th spot. Ospreys have dropped from 7th to 12th with 1 result. That's how tight the logjam is on the table of the URC at the moment. Bizarre game, this one, seemingly, because there were multiple errors, like Morgan Morris's first minute try. Just from the Scarlets guys leaving the ball in their own in-goal area and him just kind of flopping on it. That's a soft one. Hopkins is one from a kick chase where Yohan Lloyd just doesn't gather it. So a couple of gifts early for the Ospreys. They also got one through Edwards, Dan Edwards at the end, but not enough for a bonus point. The Scarlets guys, though, really let loose with some of their exciting outside backs. Murray got one, Fafita got one, Roberts got one, Eddie James, Plumtree, and a penalty try in there as well. So a bunch of tries for the Scarlets guys in front of a pretty good crowd, seemingly. Also in good voice, maybe a bit of good weather. And, local rival coming to town helps with the game. The yellow cards also didn't help with the Ospreys. Yellow cards meant the numerical advantage of the Scarlets guys were really, really able to punish. Like the defenders beaten 23-16 and the clean break 7-4. So those offensive stats in key areas certainly go the Scarlets' way. I mean, Blair Murray had 3 defenders beaten, Page had 3 defenders beaten, Lloyd had 3 defenders beaten, and Ellis Mee had 3 defenders beaten. So some of those key guys you would expect to be dangerous were dangerous. Dan Edwards had 5 for the Ospreys. That was the most of the match, but on a losing effort for the Ospreys guys. So really, really costly loss, dropping from 7th to 12th. Sharks and Leinster. I did a match review for this one. Bizarre game. Hot in Durban, like 30 odd degrees, humid. Leinster, far from their strongest team, managed to get a win over a pretty strong looking Sharks side. And the Sharks, barring their scrum, did not look very good. Their scrum looked world class. But 2 tries to 1. Mbonambi gets 1 from a maul for the Sharks. But McAlane comes off the bench for a brief period and gets 1 for Leinster when he's a kind of HIA cover replacement. And Penny gets 1 as well in 48 minutes. So 1 try each half. A lot of handling errors, ends up with a lot of scrums. But yeah, the Leinster kicking game just a wee bit smarter. A fewer errors and some proper grit and determination. So really good showing from the depth in Leinster rugby. They're kind of using these tours of South Africa and the URC to build a bit of experience and maybe build a bit of toughness in these guys to show what it's like to head down South Africa and play. Well, they've had 2 really good games, a win and a loss, but both very competitive. And to go down to Durban against a side like that and get a win, pretty impressive. If you're John Plumtree for the Sharks, you had that kind of scrum dominance, which is similar to what the Bulls did to Leinster last week. You got to be asking yourself some pretty serious questions. But I mean, the Sharks are still, comfortably in 4th spot at the moment on the table, so it's not dire straits. But yeah, they'll be very, very disappointed that they couldn't get a win over a very, very young Leinster side. A couple of the Leinster guys jumped in the pool at the end of the game because, as I said, she was pretty hot. Max Deegan was pretty immense, 12 carries from him. Very busy around the park. McKee had 15 tackles. The handling errors for the Sharks were just really, really quite poor. Another big playoff game was the Benetton against Cardiff one, which finishes 20-19. A late Benetton penalty sees them win the game. The lead changed a few times. Cardiff led for more than half the game, but their loss also sees them drop all the way from 5th out of the playoffs into 9th, whereas Benetton are now back into the playoffs. They are up into 7th spot, so really massively important win for them. Albanoz goes through a gap for one of the Benetton tries, and they get another one from a maul, which gets themselves a penalty try. Benetton, both them, Bevan and Evan Lloyd, get the 3 for Cardiff. A nice support line from Bevan for his one, and the Evan Lloyd one saw them retake the lead, but 75th minute scrum penalty. Albanoz slots that one, puts Benetton back in front. Cardiff had like 3 yellow cards in this game. Not that much possession. Not that much territory. But I mean, they had 5 line breaks apiece. Dan Thomas made 20 tackles. But not enough for Cardiff. So they end up with just the losing bonus point with that one. Which, as I said, is not enough to keep them in the playoffs. Ignacio Mendy had 10 defenders beaten. So also looking pretty dangerous in that game. But yeah, really crazy one in terms of how things are panning out with the playoffs. And then speaking of crazy, the last game, Glasgow against the Lions, 42 points to 0. All of them scored in the first half. Massive win in Glasgow. Glasgow got it at their back in the first half, and they put the Lions guys to the sword. Dobby got 2 tries. Macbeth got 1. George Horn got 1. Hastings got 1. Stewart got 1. Second half, the Lions had the wind. Couldn't score, and to be fair, Glasgow were the ones looking more like scoring despite playing into the wind. They were playing some pretty good rugby. They are going to be a hard side to beat once we get down to the knockout stage of this competition, because Glasgow are a very, very good side. Stain had 17 carries, Horn had 2 try assists and a try of his own. I think it was a record-setting try in terms of Glasgow. He's now their all-time top try scorer, so massive, massive result for them. They are second on the table and looking, as I said, very, very dangerous team. Looking at the table now with 4 rounds to go. Top 4 sides, Leinster, Glasgow, Bulls and Sharks. So those are the only sides on 40 plus. Leinster are up there in the 60s, 62. So a big gap between them and Glasgow, and then 4 points between Glasgow and the Bulls. Sharks another 5 points behind it. Then Munster, they're in 5th, are kind of just edging ahead of the trailing pack behind them, but Ulster's into the top 8, Benetton's into the top 8, Edinburgh into the top 8 on 37, 36 and 36. So it's very, very tight. Cardiff drop out of the 8 onto 36 as well. The Stormers are down from 8 as well onto 10th on 35. Scarlets up from 14th to 11th on 33, so still in the hunt. The Ospreys down, Connacht down, the Lions down, and then Zebre and the Dragons unchanged. Once we get back into action in mid-April, Edinburgh will host the Sharks, which is going to be a very important one for Edinburgh. And the Sharks would certainly like to get some more points because they are the bottom of the kind of home qualifiers as they sit at the minute. The Lions will be taking on Benetton, which is almost like a direct kind of knockout match with each other because they're on pretty similar points. Benetton's only 6 points ahead of the Lions. Stormers are likewise in a similar position against Connacht. Both those sides are just out of the playoffs at the moment. 2 points between them. The Ospreys and Cardiff, very similar stuff. 3 points between them. Munster and the Bulls is kind of one of the top of the table clashes. Munster's at home for that one, so we'll see what kind of side the Bulls send up north. The Dragons are facing the Scarlets, so the Scarlets will want to try and bank a full 5 and not get turned over by the Dragons guys. Leinster at home to Ulster. I mentioned Ulster have got kind of a rough road in. That game against Leinster, who've only lost 1 game all season by a point with a less than full strength side down in South Africa against the Bulls. Seems like a tough ask, but Ulster played some nice rugby this weekend, and then Zebre taken on Glasgow. Yes, heaps to like about this UR season. Very, very tight stuff. You guys let us know your thoughts. Do you see Leinster just trucking along with this massive depth of theirs, or do you see these other sides who are just behind them, like the Bulls, like Glasgow Warriors? Can they pose a real threat? Because we've seen it every season thus far. In the URC, top side has never won the thing in terms of the top qualifier. And how about those Sharks? When are they going to get some consistency? You guys let us know your thoughts. Talk to you guys again soon. See you later.